Good afternoon, class.
And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at it.
Is either a negative answer or a positive. So for equations in one variable, we'll be looking. Okay, so before we start discussing in details what linear equations are, we should first define what we mean by linear equations. So for linear equations, we are simply talking about equations. So these are equations with one or two variables. So linear equations, these are equations with one or two variables. Okay, so here we can give an example. We can say x plus 2 is equal to 5. So when you look at this example, you have the variable which is x. So here we only have one variable. So this is a linear equation. Okay, then for these linear equations, they only have got one answer. So they have got one answer. So they have one answer or solution. Then the highest power of a linear equation is 1. Okay, so for example, we can give an example of x plus 9 is equal to 4. Okay, so the power on x is equal to 4. When you look at the power on x, so when the power is 1, we don't indicate 1, but we have given an example of x plus 9 is equal to 4. So the power on x here is 1. So this is a linear equation. Okay, we have said that a linear equation has only one answer. Can be answer. So 2. So it means you have found a long answer. So the answer for a linear equation should only be 1. So if it is a positive answer, or sometimes the answer can be a fraction. Okay, so the answer can be a fraction. For example, here we can say x is equal to answer can either be a fraction. You can have a positive answer, a negative answer. Okay, let's look at some examples for linear. The following equation x. So for A, we are saying that x minus 5 is equal to 11 is equal to 9. Then C, 2x plus 5 is equal to 3. Then D, 4x minus 7 is equal to 9. Then x plus D. Okay, let's start with the A. So for A, so here the solutions. So for A we have x minus 5 is equal to 11. So when working out these questions, what you have to look at is the numbers which you have. So this side where there is x, what number do you have in equations? You look at the variable which you have. So for A, you have x minus 5 is equal to 11. So the variable here is x. Okay, so x, what we should do is we look at the side where x is. So x is with this additive inverse of the number which we have. So here, the number which we have is negative 5. So for the additive inverse of negative 5, we should get the number which is the same 5. Now you look at the sign. So if the first number has got a positive sign, then the additive inverse should have a negative sign. So for this, we have negative. This side where there is x, we use the additive inverse, which is positive 5. And what we are going to say is that we have x minus 5. Then we use the additive inverse, which is the same number. Now the additive inverse, with this side, we should do the same, the other side. Then it's equal to 11 is 0. So we just say 5, we are going to have 16. Okay, so x minus 0 is just x. Then this side we have 16, meaning that x is equal to 16. So the final answer, so the value of x is now x is equal to 16. Okay, so this is the solution for part A. Let's move on and look at B. Variable which we have. So here the variable which we have is the x. Okay, so for this equation, so like we have done for part A, we should do the same for part B. So what we are going to do is we are going to move in steps. So first use the additive inverse of this, which we have here negative 7. Then after that we will now use the multiplicative inverse of 4. Okay, now so here we first start with the additive inverse. So here we have 4x then minus 7. Okay, so the additive inverse of negative 7 is positive 7. So we'll say plus 7. So since we have added 7 to this side, so we should add 7 also the other side. So 9 plus 7. Okay, so here we have 4x, then minus 7 plus 7. So this minus 7 plus 7 will give us 0. So we just remain with the 4x. Okay, then the other side we have 9 plus 7. So adding the 2, we are going to have 16. Okay, now so here we have 4x is equal to 16. Now for us to find the value of x, we should now use the multiplicative inverse of 4. Okay, so for multiplicative inverse, when you have a number, for instance here we have 4, so the multiplicative inverse of this 4 is 1 over 4. So it's just 1 over the number which you have. In a situation where you have maybe 10, so the multiplicative inverse of this 10 is 1 over 10. Okay. In a situation where you have a fraction, for instance 1 over 5. So 1 over 5, the multiplicative inverse of 1 over 5 is just the whole number 5. In order for us to find the value of x. So what we are going to do is we will say 1 over 4 multiplied by 4. So we'll say 16 multiplied by 1 over 4. Okay. So here we can multiply the numerators and also the denominators. So starting with the numerators, we'll say 1 was over 1. So we'll say 1 times 4x giving us 4x 1, which is 16. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. Then 16 divided by 4, it will give us 4. So the value of x here is 4. So for this question, 4x minus 7 is equal to positive 9. The value of x here is positive 4. So this is how we should do. When you have a negative number, first you should use the additive inverse. And after you reach, for example, here we have 4x is equal to 16. You use the multiplicative inverse. So when you have 4, the multiplicative inverse is just 1 over the number which we have, which is 4. Okay, so here for this question, and then part D. Okay, so I'm going to erase this part. Five is equal to 3. Okay, this is x. So in short, we are saying that calculate the value of x from this linear equation. Okay, this side you have 2x plus 5, and then the other side to the multiplicative inverse. So we say 2x. So since we have positive 5 number, so we say minus 5 is equal to 3. Then we say minus 5. Okay, so in the other side we should so this side we have negative 2. Okay, and this side, since this part is equal to negative 2. Okay, now at this stage we have, so we should now use the quotient is 2. You look at this 1 over the same number, which is 2. See the whole number 2. Okay, so the multiplicative inverse over this 2 is 1 over 2. So this side will say multiplied by 1 over 2, and the other side by 1 over 2. Okay, so what we mean for this, we'll just say 1 over 1. So 2 multiplied by 1 giving us 2, and we'll say is equal to, then this side, so this negative 2 is just the same as to say negative 2 over 1, since we know that any number over 1 is just the number which you have. So for this, negative 2 over 1 is just negative 2. So negative 2 times 1 giving us negative 2. Then over 1 times 2 giving us positive 2. Okay, so at this stage now we can now divide. So this side we have 2, and the denominator is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 2 divided by 2 again is 1. So meaning that this side we are remaining with just x. Okay, now the other side we have 2, negative 2 and positive 2. So we'll use this 2 divided by 2, that is 1, then 2 divided by 2 giving us 1. So meaning that since we have this negative, so say negative 1 over 1. So negative 1 divided by 1 is just negative 1. So from this equation, the value of x is negative 1. So if you want, you can even prove that the value of x is negative 1 when we say 2x plus 5 is equal to 3. So here we are saying that the value of x is equal to negative 1. So meaning that where there is x, we should replace by negative 1. So here for this linear equation, 2, here where there is x, we should replace by negative 1, then plus 5 is equal to 3. Okay, so for this, the right hand side should be equal to the value from the negative or from the left hand side. So for this, we are saying that here we have 2 multiplied by negative 1, so this will give us negative 2, then plus 5, okay, giving us, so this, the right hand side, we have 3. So look at the left hand side, so negative 2 plus 5, the result is 3, so which is equal to the right hand side. So for this, the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. Okay, so what you have for the left hand side is equal to the result for the right hand side. So we have proved that the value of x is negative 1. Okay, let's look at the last one, which is D. Okay, so for D, when you look at this D which we have here, we are saying that 4x minus 7 is equal to 9, then multiplied by x plus 3. Okay, so for this, which we have, we'll first start with dealing with what we have in the brackets. Okay, so meaning that we'll say, so for this side you just write this 4x minus 7, then we deal first with what we have in the bracket. So you look at the number which you have outside the bracket, so we should multiply this number with everything which you have in the bracket. So for this we have x plus 3, so being multiplied by this 9, so we'll first say 9 multiplied by x, giving us 9x. Okay, then the other one we have 3, so 9 multiplied by 3, so this one will give us is x, and here you have the variable which is x, and you have this constant which is negative 7, and you have 27 the other side. Okay, so for this you should first collect the like terms. So the one with the variable which is x should be at the same side, and the constant should be at the same side. So for this we are saying that 4x, so we should collect the like terms, so we'll have this 9x. So since this 9x is positive this side, so it will be negative when it crosses the equal sign. Okay, so this is 4x minus 9x is equal to 27. Okay, then here you have negative 7. So when this negative 7 crosses the equal sign, it will be positive 7. So here we are saying that plus 27. So for this 4x minus 9x, so this will give us negative 5x. Then the other side you have 27 plus 7. So adding the two, you have 34. Okay. So at this stage now we have negative 5x is equal to 34. Okay. Now we should calculate the value of x. So calculating the value of x here, since we have the coefficient which is negative 5, so we will use the multiplicative inverse of negative 5. So for negative 5, the multiplicative inverse of this is negative 1 over 5. Okay. In a situation where you have maybe negative 9, the multiplicative inverse is negative 1 over 9, the same number which you have. And in a situation where you have maybe you have 1 over maybe 15, the multiplicative inverse of this 1 over 15 is just the whole number 15. If you have maybe 1 over, we say negative 1 over maybe 19, the multiplicative inverse of negative 1 over 19 is just negative 19. So this is how we should do. So for the multiplicative inverse, if the number is a negative number, so the multiplicative inverse should be just the negative 1 over the same number which you have. So this is a bit different from the additive inverse. So when the number which you have is a negative number, even the multiplicative inverse should be a negative number, but we should say 1 over the number which you have. Okay, so here we are dealing with negative 5x. So the multiplicative inverse of this one is negative 1 over 5. So say negative 1 over 5 times negative 5x. So what we have done this side, we should do the same the other side. So here we have negative 5 over x. We can just say this is just the same as over 1, and this 34 is just over 1. So negative 1 multiplied by negative 5x. Okay, so here since we have negative and this number which we have is a negative, remember a negative times negative is a positive. So this is just 5x. Then for the denominator you have 5 times 1, which is just 5. Then for this side you have 34. Okay, so this side we can divide. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we are remaining with just x. And so we are saying that this x is equal to negative 34 over 5. So when you look at this, if you want, you can leave the answer just the way it is, as x is equal to negative 34 over 5, or you can say 5 into 34, it will give us a negative 6, then remainder 4 over 5. Okay, so this negative 6, then 4 over 5 is just the same as negative 34 over 5. So for these linear equations, when you look at the final answers, the final answer is just one answer. And I say that for linear equations, you only have one answer. So for instance, for this C, the final answer is x is equal to negative 1. So for this, when the answer is negative, if you say x is equal to positive, even if the number is the same, or here you have negative 1, and you say positive 1, negative answer, it should be a negative, not a positive. So this is all about the linear equations. So we have looked at 4 examples. Now it's time for me to give you something so that you solve on your own. Okay, so let me just give you 4 questions so that you solve on your own. Then say homework, or we just say task. So for your homework, we should solve the following equations. Okay, so for the first one, you have 2b plus 3 is equal to 2 minus 3, then b plus 3. Okay, then for part B, you have 3x is equal to 21. Then C, you have 2y minus 7 is equal to 19. Then in D, you have 2 multiplied by a plus 2. Then this added to 10 is equal to 12. Then, okay, let me just add one more. So 2 plus y is equal to 7. Okay, so for this, the variable which you have, you should look at which letter do you have for the question. So for A, the variable which you have, so this side you have B and this side you have B. So meaning that you are saying that calculate the value of b from a. In part B, we have 3x is equal to 21. So here the variable which we have is x. So in short, we are saying that calculate the value of x. So for C, you have 2y, you have a 2, then a plus 2, then plus 10 is equal to 12. So the variable is a. So in short, we are saying that calculate the value of a. Then in part E, the variable is this y, so calculate the value of y. So these are the questions which I want you to work on. Okay, so just stay tuned for the next sessions. Okay, enjoy your day and stay safe.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at our geographic expression.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at our geographic expression.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at our geographic expression.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at our geographic expression.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the livestock.
Look at our geographic expression.
Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon, learners. I'm Mrs. Lungu. Today we are going to look at home economics, the grade 9s. So our topic for today, we'll look at care labels care labels. Care labels, that's our topic for today. So we need to know what a care label is as a pupil who takes home economics. So fabrics, clothes, and other materials need to be maintained properly. So for one to maintain them, we are supposed to know the care labels. For this to happen, one has to understand what a care label is, okay? One has to understand what a care label is. So we are going to define what a care label is so that we can understand. So they're saying these are symbols which are found on small pieces of material and are stuck at the back of the neckline of a blouse or a shirt or a skirt, jackets. You always find them at the neckline, okay? But for the trousers and the skirts, you can find them around the waist. So what are these care labels? Say a skirt, it has to have a care label. Why? Because it will show on how to take care of that garment, okay? So now we are going to look at the information on care labels. Wow, what are the information which are found on the same care labels which are stuck on our neckline or on the waist, okay? So write information on care labels. And again, it will give you the information. Lastly, on how the garment has to be dried. So write drying, okay? Now, the same information like temperature of water, it is being written there through symbols, okay? Because you cannot write all these sentences on the same piece of paper on the neckline. Why? So symbols are used to provide the information. So some of the information which is there, it's information on care labels which is there, it's temperature of water, so there'll be a symbol that will mention on care labels which is there, it's temperature of water, so there'll be a symbol that will show us the temperature of water. Then again, another symbol that will provide us with the information on how to wash the same garment. Then again, it will provide another symbol showing ironing, the type of ironing which is supposed to be done, and drying, as well as bleaching. Okay, so some of the garments or some of the clothes are not supposed to be washed or bleached because of the type of material which they are used. So the care labels will have all those information by the use of symbols. Now we are going to look at the classes of different symbols of care labels which are being stuck together behind or on the neckline. So what are these symbols? So we've got washing symbols, we've got ironing symbols, we've got bleaching symbols, we've got also symbols hanging, as well as symbols for washing different materials. Now, we will look at the different symbols. We'll start with washing symbols. We have to know how these symbols look like, okay? So whenever you see such symbols, just know that they stand for washing symbols, and they give you the information on the garment that you are having. So we'll look at the symbols for washing. So write washing symbols. Symbols. Okay, so now we are going to draw. Why? Because we are supposed to know how these washing symbols look like. Okay, so this is the washing symbol. Okay. symbol. Okay. So another symbol looks like that. It has got a hand inside.